Good evening, everybody. It seems that I've got something going on in my throat. There we go, that's better. How exciting to see you all. Thank you very much indeed for coming. Interesting watching everybody getting up on the other side of the world and all over it. Thank you for coming to another exciting evening. While everyone just gets settled, I just need to share a little story with you. Just now I thought I'd better go to the bathroom, make myself as pretty as possible. And you know when you are in a real photographer's place, when on the shelf in the bathroom you find something like this. Look at the dust on that, a Nikon D2X, look at that, I remember these. One of my first professional cameras, look at the dust on it, that's the sign of a real photographer's place. I am of course at New Milton Photographic in New Milton, the Fujifilm print shop, owned by my good friends Louise and Ian. If it weren't for them and their friendship and kindness, of course I wouldn't be able to do these things, because my office where I live, I just haven't got fast enough internet to do it. If you live anywhere between Bournemouth and Southampton in the UK and you want anything printing, I really recommend you come and see Ian and Lou, because they do know what they're doing. They are a couple of my bestest friends in all the world. Tell them I sent you. I need to do a quick apology for the late edition of the album last week. Been having a bit of a hectic time and it's likely to continue for a few weeks, a bit busy with a project. I apologise for the late edition. From now on, Emma will be setting them up. So yeah, apologies for that one. And I want to say thank you very much as well to all of you who've sent in some Ultimate Beginner's Course video testimonials. They are absolutely amazing. Some are hilarious. Thank you for doing that and for helping. If anybody was thinking about it, I get it, I know. It's kind of like, oh, I don't want to be on camera. Then please, you've probably seen the email if you bought a UBC in the last 12 months. So there we go. What else do I need to say? Oh yes, just a little update on how we stand with donations and all this sort of thing. Thank you ever so much, of course, everybody who has stepped up to the mark to help out since we had a little chat in the group. So the news is we are up almost 40%, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you very much indeed. We're still about £1,000 short of what it should be, but hey, you know, let's just carry this on and keep it going and see if we can keep the group growing. So please invite anyone you think would be an active member who would enjoy it and benefit from it, you know, and if you can afford £3 a month to help keep it going, that is a huge contribution. Thank you. Speaking of huge contributions, I also want to give a shout out to a chap called Ian Gogan. He lives in New York City in the US. Now, what I find fascinating with Ian is he really likes the PLD group. He thinks the training is really useful and the exercise and all the rest of it. So much so that he's actually been doing some fundraising on the streets. He does a lot of street photography, does a lot of shooting in dark, dingy nightclubs, musicians, things like that. And he's actually been doing some fundraising for us to help keep PLD going. And he isn't even in the group doing anything, which is off the scale. He has, in the last couple of months, donated over £200. It's money he's just raised, because he said, I think this is a really good thing. Come on, guys, put some money in the cup. So big shout out to Ian Gogan. He's a good man. Where else are we? I have another little thing we need to look at. I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's have a look at the pictures. I guess everybody's well and happy. Yeah, hats off to Ian, absolutely. I'm just looking at your comments over there and I'm glad everyone's well and happy. I see a few of you are lighting fires. Glenn, good luck in your competition tonight. I noticed that in the chat while I was just watching the timer countdown. Good luck. And speaking of photo competitions, we also need to give somebody a little shout out here. You may remember a while back we did a challenge called Hope. This is my hope. And a whole bunch of PLDers got into the points and will be part of the exhibition when they get around to being able to run it and will be part of their calendar. I had an astonishing email the other day from Gary Cleesby, who has won it. With this image, Gary Cleesby has been chosen to be the winner of the Alabari Photo Challenge, which I think is absolutely awesome. Congratulations, Gary. That is so fulfilling for me personally. You have absolutely whooped the ass off of my own entries, and you know, look, we've got some pretty big league judges going on here. We've got Bet Lynch, Colin Pryor, who I met years ago, world famous landscape photographer, David Noten, Tim Booth. They think your picture is, you're the winner. I just think that is rock and roll. That is just so great, and that is what I think is so powerful with this group that we've got going here, watching everyone's creativity growing and the fascinating ideas and the effort and the work that you guys are putting into it. I think that's amazing. Congratulations, Gary. Well deserved, even if you did beat me. So let's have a little bit of a look at some pictures. I just realised, let's bring my little face into the corner there. Let's have a look at some of this week's shots and do a little bit of the feedback, because let's face it, that's what we're all here for, and I know that's what everyone is most interested in. Let's have a little look at this one here. So this was all about showing me, and you guys have done some awesome jobs of showing me where to look within the picture. One or two of you have obviously struggled with this, and you know, hopefully I can offer you a little bit of help. Some of you have had some great fun with it. It's very similar to the detail one, isn't it? And we did this on purpose. I did this on purpose because I thought, okay, well, detail's one thing, you get in onto a detail. But how about having a little bit more going on and still being able to show your viewer where it is in the picture you want to look? Really exciting stuff. So here we go, Alec. I did like this. I love the way you've got black, and I like the light. My thoughts are it could possibly do with being just an eeny bit brighter. So I hope you don't mind. I took the liberty of just brightening it up a bit. What do you think, guys? Just a tiny little bit. Now, I get it, the dark and moody is nice, but I just felt it could do with a slight brighten. What do you think, guys? A little bit of a brighten or not? You know, and of course, the darker shot could work. And of course, it's always difficult to tell because, you know, that is a very subtle difference. Depending on whether a monitor is calibrated or not, does anyone want to go to the expense and the trouble of doing anything about that? But I do find little tweaks to exposure can make a world of difference. Exposure is also part of composition. You are the great composer of your own image symphony. And exposure is part of it, you know, brightening things, darkening things. And, you know, if you're here, Alec, by all means, just say, no, I like the dark one. That's what I did. And all power to you. If you did. Here's one which I really liked by a certain Gary Cleesby. How did you sneak in there again? I loved your idea. Show me your hand. What a, you know, it's a nice little twist on the idea, and you put a lot of work into doing this, in doing the lighting, and just making this shot work. But again, I just took the liberty, and I'm just going to ask everybody, you know, what do you think? I just took the liberty of making it slightly more moody, but making it a little darker. That's all. Just sort of thought, well, let's go the other way, Gary's version, and then I just briefly darkened it. Now, if it was done in camera as opposed to me fiddling with something that's already been posted onto Facebook, I think it would look better. Those highlights would just come down a touch with it as well. I just felt the darker one was just slightly more moody. So, hope you don't mind, Gary. You've already shown your ace up your sleeve tonight as it is, but I just felt this one was more moody, more evocative of that whole, you know, playing cards thing. Another I just wanted to look at here, again, it's an exposure thing. Mary, you've got some really, really great light going on here, and I like the fact that you spotted it. It is some very nice light. It's very subtle, and it will sort of show me where to look within the picture, where it's just touching that one little bit of green, that little plant. But again, I did a little tweak to your exposure, and I just felt that it's stronger, darker. We're only talking a very, very small touch, a small change to exposure. But I just felt the darker one just kind of worked better, but well done for spotting that little bit of light, that little pool of light, and you can kind of emphasize it just by playing with the exposure a bit. if you're someone who's struggling with this a bit, something to remember always is that the light meter isn't right. You might be shooting in manual mode, but if the light meter says, I think it should be this, and you just do it, it's the same as being on auto, because the only difference is you are twiddling the knobs and dials doing what the light meter tells you, as opposed to the camera putting the knobs and dials and doing the settings according to what the light meter tells it. Never forget, you're the one who's in charge. If you find things a little bit tricky in that area, please come and have a look at my Ultimate Beginner's course, because that's what it's there for. All that camera related stuff, light and composition, it's all in there. We've had loads of people say, I thought I was an advanced photographer, but actually I did it, and I'm glad I did. It reminded me of some things and told me a few things I hadn't thought of. So yeah, using light to focus the attention. Somebody said something about a vignette. I just saw it flash past. There it is. Irene. Hello, Irene, down there in Australia. I hope you're well. Thank you for getting up so early again. And Jane, I saw your comments earlier too. Yeah, now I think we've got more of a natural vignette going on here, probably caused by the light. You could put one in post-production if you can get away without needing to. I would say great. But we have got a little natural highlight just sort of picking on the edge of that bit of greenery, which I think works. Simon, you're showing me where to look, definitely, unquestionably, and I'm not suggesting you're not. The thing is, I'm not quite sure how interesting the thing we're looking at is. Now, it could have possibly been a bit more interesting with a little bit more something going on around it, maybe a little pool of light on there or something. I can see you've thought about this, and also in looking at the comment, I can see that there is a story behind it. It's part of an old shipwreck, and that of course makes it interesting to you because you know what it is. But to someone looking at it cold, I'm not quite sure. Yes, we do know where to look. I get it. I do get it. I think in this case it probably needed a stronger subject, to be honest. A bit of light may have helped, and I get it, it's really difficult to try and do these things, but good effort, good effort. And I really kind of like this one as well, by Iggy's picture. I love those feathery grasses, and it's a really hard shot to get right, Iggy. I never really have a problem with a little bit of a burnt out highlight, but I just find this one's just a little bit strong, and it looks to me like you've worked hard to try and sort of bring it back a bit in post-production. I still like it. I'm still not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I think that highlight is just a bit too strong. Maybe just dropping the exposure a little bit, if you could adjust the contrast in the camera in the way it is processing its own RAW file, or if you were doing it in post-production. I think you could have got away with just bringing it down a bit. You could then lift the shadows and pull the highlights down a bit. But it's a great composition, and I love the life you have got into those feathery grasses. It's very nicely done. And I also get where you were going with this. Put the bright part of the picture behind the subject and we know where to look. I totally get where you're going. I just think it was just a little bit too much. And I'm being hard here because, you've got some great shots. And also, of course, to many of you guys who, don't get a shout out tonight. I can't talk about everything. It doesn't mean it's a bad photo. Gerard. Yeah, I kind of like where you're going with this. You're certainly showing me where to look. I think it's great. You're using a leading line. You're taking me on a little journey through the picture. And then because we got that shift in white balance down at the end underneath that yellow street light, I think it's a really interesting concept. The only thing is I find that it needs a little bit stronger subject. We've got the arch. Got it. Needs something in the arch, whether it's a dog running through there or a person walking past or coming through. Just something happening in the arch, I think, would just make it a lot stronger. But I do like the way you've used your composition and that colour curve where the yellow is. I think that it's a nice touch, well looked at and well thought out. I saw a little thing just flash past about Iggy's picture again about doing an HDR photo merge with this. I don't know. Yeah, it might be possible. It depends whether or not it's a windy day. If that grass is moving, then there'll be a problem, because it's going to move a bit between shots, and then you're never going to get the damn stuff to line up again. If, on the other hand, it was really still, then yes, an HDR photo merge probably would work well. Little thing with photo merging, by the way, so you bracket the exposures. You've got the exposure where the histogram is, you know, it's going to be going off each end a little bit maybe, but you find the one where it's kind of going off the same amount each end. And then certainly with my camera, the X-T2, I find if I shoot one frame 2 stops less than that and one frame 2 stops more, you can bring them together and all the detail is in all the areas, and you can then work it in post-production to make it look natural. You don't necessarily have to do this manually, and you don't have to spend much time. What I do, a little hack here, is I stick it onto high-speed continuous shooting. Because certainly if you've got a mirrorless camera, it shoots so many frames so quickly, you don't need a tripod. You can just line it up, touch the button, it does 11 frames a second. That is so fast, it just goes done, before you can move the camera, which is just a little tip for you, if that's something that you're interested in. Or interested in doing. Ahmed, we've got a great subject. We know what we're looking at, no question. But I just find that greenery along the edge is fighting with your bird. I'm not quite sure what it is. It doesn't look quite sharp, that bird, either. The other thing which is kind of intriguing is the light on that bit of greenery along the edge, down the left-hand side, is really nice. It's some great light. But it's kind of in conflict with your bird, plus there's that bit of grass across the eye. I like the fact you've looked for a reflection. Maybe if you could have, I don't know, somehow moved a bit so the grass wasn't across the eye, waited, see if the bird moved a bit. But, you know, good attempt, good effort. As was this, I kind of like this one, Chloe. Chloe Sastry. I do like this shot. There's no question. We know exactly where to look. And I don't know if you did this with a torch or whether it was available light. If you're here, Chloe, I'd love to know. It is a beautiful image taken at, you know, they call it blue hour. I think it should be blue 5 minutes, because that's about how long it lasts, particularly when you're fighting with your camera. My only thing is, somehow it just looks like it's a little bit overcooked. I could be wrong, forgive me if I am, Chloe, but it just looks to me like, I don't know, like it's had a bit of post-production done and it's possibly a little bit too much. I could be wrong. Maybe the colours are a little bit saturated, but it is a really great idea. We know exactly where we're looking. You've used light and composition, and you've shot at a great time of day. And what have we got here? Linda. I think that says Linda. I'm still blind. Yes, it is. Hello, Linda O'Neill. Now, I also get where you're going here, and I can see what you were trying to achieve, and you kind of achieved it. You were showing the viewer where to look by light. There's a blue hole somewhere. There's a gap in the clouds in that heavy weather that's going on, and the sun has come through, and this is just so magical when it happens. The only thing we've got here is not quite sure where to look. Are we looking at the big building in the front or the little one on the hilltop? It's really lovely colours, and I think if, depending on the direction of the light and all the rest of it, you could have got a moment where the light was hitting either the little tower on the hilltop or the big stately home in the foreground. Then it would have been really, really strong. I think particularly if it was on the little tower on the hilltop, I think it would have worked very, very well. Beautiful, beautiful weather and light going on in the background. This is like the landscape photographer's dream, this sort of light. I know landscape photographers who sit around for hours, days and days and days, hoping to find a situation, a day when it's like this. But it is time consuming, and of course, if you're not on your own, what's going to happen? Anyone you're with, you're going to drive them nuts. Can you just take a bloody picture? We've all heard that one, haven't we? Now here's something else, which from Rob Cook. Rob, I kind of like where you're going here. And it's a difficult one because this one, again, I think a little bit of lighting it up would definitely help. And it also looks like you've done a little bit of work around the tree to try and sort of darken that sky a bit. I think you were a tiny bit heavy-handed here, but it is a nice shot, and single trees always make nice shots. You've got great colours. We've got the, you know, the yellowy orange against the sort of bluey grey. They're good colours. My main question to you, and if you're here, I'd love you to tell us, is like, why did you shoot it quite so tight or crop the picture the way you did? Because I had a little play, as is my wont, and I stretched it. And personally, I think when it goes back more the full frame of the camera, I just think I prefer it. What do you think, guys? I'm just intrigued because I think it gives it more strength. I think when it's a little bit closer, it is possibly just a little bit too tree, whereas here we kind of got a lonely sort of a tree. You know, and I only did a quick grab a bit in Photoshop and do a content aware stretch or something. But I think that little bit of negative space in the composition would help a bit, just a little bit easy on that post-production. Or it's a fiddly thing. I don't know what software you're using to do it. I only know Lightroom is the only one I use because I'm much too lazy to go and learn other software. There is a little thing in Lightroom, and I'm trying to remember what it's called. If anyone remembers, please tell me. I think it's called autofill or something. There's a little tick box in the bottom of the brush tool. When you tick it, it picks up the tone. You can make a big brush, and then, so let's say you just clicked onto an area of sky in between those leaves. If you've got a big brush, all it does is select that color, and it works on that, and it does a really great job. I don't know if anyone knows what it's called. If you remember, I can't remember, and I'm not going to go starting Lightroom now to go and look. But there is a little thing which and it knows what it is. Content aware fill. No, that's a Photoshop thing, I think. It's on the selective tools in Lightroom anyway, particularly the brush. There's a little tick box. It's right down the bottom. And when you tick it, it finds these different shapes and contours. Hello, Rob. It was taken landscape and cropped. Okay, got it. I think a quick twist that way and you'd really have had it. Really nice. Really nice. No, it's not called range mask. You know what? I'm really struggling here. You know what? On my other laptop here, I can't help myself. I'm going to go and have a look so I can tell you what it's called. So hopefully that will... Oh, I don't care. Just use the default catalogue. It's because I haven't got my hard drives connected. So it doesn't know what's going on. It won't take me long, I promise. I'm pretty sure I can get in here. Can I get in here? Scroll down the bottom here. Ah, I haven't got a shot. No, sorry about this, guys. I think I'm going to have to skip this. It might be called range mask, maybe auto mask. There it is. It's a little tick box. It's called auto mask, right down at the bottom. If you are using Lightroom, have a little play with that. I'm sure other software has much the same thing, but it will find those edges. George, stop it. Right. Here is one we really like as well. I really like. Alan, I do like this. I like the way you have shown me where to look by using the sky and the clouds and that silhouette of the windmill. It is a really, really clever idea, and I like the colours. I like the moodiness of it. My question, if you're here, I'd love to know. My question here is, could you have moved a little to the right and put that bright bit, which I'm guessing is the sun disappearing behind the horizon, right behind the windmill? I think it would have made it a lot stronger. Of course, the other thing is whether or not you could have got a little bit higher. You've done absolutely the right thing to put those trees small at the bottom and the windmill small. It's a brave composition, and it works. It's bringing those clouds in. I just wonder if we'd had the brightest bit behind the windmill, could you have moved around to the right a bit to sort of slightly change that alignment? I think it would have made it a little stronger. but nonetheless it is eye-catching, and you do look at it and we immediately know where to look. You have shown me where to look, and others, of course. Griffin. Yes, sorry, I have to read it on that one, don't I? Again, I think you've got a really good idea. You played with light and you've played with depth of field very well to show us where to look. Unfortunately, it isn't quite sharp and it's a little bit wonky. I've just realised you just said first time entering something. Well, welcome and thank you for entering. It's just a bit wonky and it's not quite sharp. Now, I'm looking at that sharpness. I think it's camera shake. This is little movements of your camera. I'm guessing you held this in your hand, or maybe you were using maybe you've got a tripod, but it's a lightweight one. And it wobbled. When you touched the shutter button to take the picture, it vibrated, and that's what's caused the softness. You know what? Even if you've got a heavy tripod, if you've got it indoors on a carpet, it'll still wobble. It will still vibrate. But I like the way you have used light to try and pick out that first pawn. The other thing that I think could have helped is the night behind it. You see how it's got that flat nose and it's kind of picking up some light, and it's a little bit loud. I think if you could have turned that a little bit so it wasn't quite so strong, maybe moved it a bit, but nice idea. Nice idea. The problem you've got here is camera shake. If anyone is suffering with some blurry pictures like this, particularly in no light, it's going to be camera shake. Little movements of the camera when you shoot the picture. What do we got next? This one here, Pytor. That's a great cobweb. It is a great cobweb. Peter, sorry, not Pytor, Peter. It's a nice cobweb, well positioned in the frame. I get it. I like the way the light is just glinting off the cobweb too. The problem is the background. Where we've got that blue halo going on around the edges, it looks like it's a bit over-processed, a bit overcooked in post-production. But also there is something to bear in mind here. When you do get this super extreme light, I've got a shot somewhere I took of hang gliders coming past the sun. It was on Lanzarote during one of our workshops. And there's really blue sky, and then it quickly fades off and all the colour is just leached out. It's almost black and white. It's gone to grey. And this is the kind of look I got when I tried to sort of pull that back a bit. We started to get around the edge of the blue. It fringed and went a little bit over the top. It's a really nice idea, and you are showing us where to look, but we have got a problem with that background. And it also looks like maybe you chose that blue and pimped it to try and get away with it. Sorry, you didn't. But nice idea. What else have we got? Oh yeah, Sharon's just suggested crop the left part off. Exactly, really easy solution, isn't it? Possibly crop the whole shot a little bit, make it more vertical, cut through the cobweb. That could work. Anyone else got any suggestions? I'm completely up for this, and I'm sure, you know, we're only helping Peter out. But yeah, you could lose that. Let's do a finger job. Let's do that finger thing. No, let's get our fingers. Come on, I want to see those fingers. Let's just do that finger. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Sharon. You get your finger and just line it up with the screen. I love the thought of people doing this all over the world. And everyone else in the room going, what are you doing? Here's another one. Try a two-finger test, because I'm just trying now, just cropping off a little bit more of the cobweb. And just cropping into it a tiny bit, just to the left of the leaves at the back. That kind of works. You could probably take a bit from the right too. That works too. Good ideas. Good ideas. Good ideas. I'm not going there. I'm not entering into that conversation, Dean, and one or two others. Barbara, I like this shot of yours. You have done a really good job of showing us where to look on a very difficult thing. You've got two subjects that are the same, and you have shown us which one to look at. You've done a good job, and I'm going to be a little bit harsh on you because you've done a good job. There's some beautiful light on that. I don't know what sort of plant it is, what sort of flower. I'm not very good at flowers. Much better at motorbikes. Well, old motorbikes. But you've got some beautiful light. It's technically absolutely spot on, really nicely done. If you could have achieved a slightly shallower depth of field, I think that could have helped. I'm also wondering, could you have given it all just a touch more space? It's just where the petals of the front dahlia, I am reliably informed by you lovely people, are just touching the bottom of the frame. Could we have just given it a little bit more room? But you have done a good job. That's a tricky thing to do. We do know where we're looking. We do know where we're looking. We have got one here too. We absolutely know where we're looking. Cheyenne. We absolutely know where we're looking. Now, these high-vis things, they are so high-vis, aren't they? That they just pick up the light and they just whack it through the stratosphere. It's just so high. It's just so strong. But we know where to look, definitely. We kind of know what this is about as well. You're telling a story with this shot, which I like. I always love a story in an image. The difficulty, of course, is that really strong bit on the high vis. Now, this is just a thought. You tried to turn it down, got it. I think it's an in-camera thing. If you could have reduced that exposure a bit in the camera, and I know it's a hard thing because then the background might have gone a little bit darker still. If you could have brought it down a bit in the camera, then waited until the person in the high-vis jacket, who I'm guessing is a police officer or something, looks the other way, if they look the other way. I get it, it's an if. But then you'd have had the brightness of the jacket and the brightness of the face. I think you may have still had something in the background too. If you're shooting raw, then maybe you could have lifted the shadows a little bit too. But I do like the story, and I like what's going on here. And you have, of course, done a great job. There was no time, there really wasn't. There was a terrible flood, earthquakes, locusts. I get it. I totally get it. It's one of those things, shooting this type of genre, this type of street photography. Often we miss things. We miss way more than we ever get to capture because things change, things move fast, and sometimes we can't move fast enough to catch up. There is a huge amount of luck and different things aligning. It's one of the things that I do love about street photography, though, is when it does come together. I just think it's absolutely awesome. But yeah, nice one, Shona. Here's one here as well, which we're kind of, to me, this feels like we're nearly there. Anton, I like your idea. We've got such a difference in exposure, though, because you are telling us with depth of field where to look, but because there is such a strong light on the back of the guy's shirt in the background, to me, it's telling us where to look. We're looking at that really bright burnt out bit, which is a shame because the guy in the foreground is really quite interesting. I don't know whether it would have been possible to shift camera angle just a little bit, round to one side a little bit, frame it to the left, lose that person in the background. Still maybe had a bit of the window there, because that's kind of intriguing. There's something going on somewhere else. Where is this person? I think that could have been interesting. And then maybe lifted that exposure, because the guy at the table really is in some very interesting light. What's he doing with his hand? What is he thinking? And I think that could have worked really well, because I do like it. I do like it. Crop off from the plate on the windows. Yeah. I think you're right, Chaz. I think you're right. It's time for a finger. Let's just, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Look, you see, when you just take the bright area on the right away a bit, and we can just see the fella at the desk, and it's more of a vertical shot, that kind of works. It needs to be a bit brighter, yeah, but it does kind of work. Already done it. You're beating me. 2 fingers to the right. This one, I love this light. Mary Sue, I love the light on this. It's just so beautiful. It is just so beautiful. And I'm being hard on you as well. because this is so beautiful. I love the fact we've got a little bit of what's going on outside the window, that beautiful light coming through the window, and the shape of the chairs. Beautiful, beautiful light, so well spotted, so well done. I really love it. I just feel I'm slightly conflicting with the chairs, only just because you've got the bright bit on the stone behind that chair on the left. I don't know, maybe just separate them a bit. Just take that chair on the right in half slightly, so we've got another chair. We still know what's going on. I'm being hard on you. I know I'm being hard on you. I am being nasty, Mike the coach, now, because that is such beautiful light. And I just think it might have benefited a bit from that, but it works either way, and I'm not saying it's a bad shot at all. Please don't anyone think that. It is beautiful light. It is beautiful light. Diane Harper. I love these stacks of timber. You know, I mean, there's a lot of them around where I live because I live in the New Forest. There's all these stacks all over the place of timber waiting to be carted off or whatever. And I particularly like the ones like this, which have been sitting around for a while. They're always interesting. We know where to look, definitely. My question is, could we have had a bit more space again? Because we've got that blue stack 2. Blue stack 2. It's a cool sign. Blue stack 2. I think if we had a little bit more of the timber, I think you could have got away with having, if you like, a busier shot, but because of the blue stack 2, so long as there wasn't another one in there, it would have absolutely bang, it would have absolutely got us there, absolutely got us there. Great, I'm glad you're here, Mary Sue. I'm not knocking your picture, it was beautiful, it really was. I'm just being Mr. Heavy Duty Coach here. Blue stack 2, a little bit more space, I think. That's all it needed, because it is still a really nice shot. I can't help but wonder as well that when I've looked, if you could have got, you know, did it very graphically, end on, straight onto the end of the logs, what would that have looked like? It's a question I have. It might not have worked. There may be many good reasons. It was only a small stack, that's why. There we go. Thank you, Diane. But I do like it. It's a well-spotted thing. If you could have opened it up a bit, it'd been good. If there was a bigger stack one day, go shoot it. Yeah, Chaz is suggesting move it to the middle. Maybe. For me, I know I'm a negative space junkie, and of course everything is subjective, isn't it? I like a little bit of space, but there we go. Right. Glyn, I like what you're doing here, because you've used some light to tell us where to look really, really rather well. And I'm intrigued by those little hints of something going on in the background. Something is happening, but I'm not quite sure what it is. My real thing with this is something to do with the angle of the light. Now, whether you just spotted this through a window or something, I'd love to know if you're here, Glyn. If you're still here. Whether or not this was through a window, whether you could have turned, whether you could have moved, if the light was slightly coming across the face a little bit more. That's really all it is. And the other thing is I get the slight impression that this little statuette is kind of falling over backwards. I don't know whether you could have got away with it tilting the camera just fractionally to the left. Hi Glenn, on the decking in Dad's back garden. Well spotted, great use of light. Yeah, those are my only thoughts. And I'm being harsh, of course. It does stand at a wonky angle. Again, you see, there's all these things, of course, that I don't know. But I do just wonder. At a slight angle. Ah, right. So we have to bring this one out because I just like the sense of humour. I don't know if you're with us this evening, Tori. But I do like the sense of humour. Show us where to look. You've got to. We had to bring this one up, didn't we? I just think it's fun. I just think it's fun. My thoughts entirely, Delarice. I do. I think it's a fun picture. I really do. If I was going to give it criticism, I would say, and you know what I would say to her, I'd say, could you have moved the magnifying glass a little bit to one side? So hard when you're doing a selfie. But yeah, there you go. It's just good fun. It's good fun. Judith, there's lots of things about this which I would like. I like the expression of the girl. I like that there's a little bit of something going on. I like the fact we know where to look. To me, it's just, I'm sorry, but I find that level of colour intensity to be just a bit too much. I don't think it needs it. I just don't think it needs it. Because it is a great little moment. It'd be nice to see maybe a tiny bit more of the waiter, but it's personally, yeah, okay, let's throw this one open. Lorraine loves the colours. What do you think, guys? More or less. I just find the colours too much. But, you know, again, I could also see this, you know, as a card, as a greetings card. I could see it as a print put on the wall, you know. Again, we're not saying it's bad, wicked and wrong. Of course, at the end of the day, I can only give my own opinion. Airline advert, that's a good one, Bob. That's a good one. Would be great in black and white. Yeah, you see, that's kind of where I go with this, but, you know, that's just me. Is it radioactive? But, railway poster, who said that? Yeah. Totally get it. Marlin Mike, 66 Marlin Mike. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It's kind of got a 1950s railway poster feel to it. But it is a nice shot, and you are telling us exactly where to look. Well spotted moment. Well spotted moment. What do we got next? Let's have a look. Let's move on over here a bit. Oh, I thought this was rather nice, Yvonne Williams. We've got that very strong highlight, and we are, of course, being told precisely where to look. You are showing me what this is about and where to look. The thing is, it's just a little bit so contrasty, and the subject, what we're looking at, isn't terribly exciting. And I know it's frustrating, and I'm being hard on you because you spotted something interesting, because you executed it well. I like the depth of the shadows going on behind. But if you look at the little pool of light behind the burning bush, a little bit further up the trees, it's a little bit, seems to be a bit more gentle. It's not quite so strong. And I'm just wondering if maybe there was something up there that you might have been able to use, or maybe that light is moving. Maybe there just happened to be a direct sunbeam and it's moving. But well spotted, it's well you know, it is well executed. I just think the subject isn't quite strong enough to make it totally exciting, and that burning bush is just a little bit too burny. What could you have done about it? Probably not a lot, but it's a great exercise, and it tells everyone that you are really paying attention. You are looking around you. You are looking to see what's going on. Nick, stop it. What do we got here? This one I like. This one was a real bit of a challenge for me, this one. Purely because I like it such a lot. I do really like it. Why isn't it in the shortlist shout-outs? To me, I think it's because the little feather isn't really quite sharp. And again, I am being very harsh on you here, Joss. It's the little feather. I think we could have done with a bit more depth of field going on, and possibly a little less exposure because of that very burnt bit on the egg. I don't mind a little bit of burnt highlight, but I think in this case it's a bit too much. The other reason I think is I'm guessing you lit it probably with a torch, or maybe the light on an iPhone or on a phone or something like that, because of course other phones are available. And I think what it is what happens is when the light source itself is very close and it looks somehow to me as though it is, it can be very, very harsh indeed, and you can often avoid it by just moving the light a little further away. Sometimes only a little bit just can make a world of difference. I think it's just that the light is a little bit too close, and that feather's not quite sharp. If you could have used a slightly smaller aperture, focus a little bit further in perhaps as well, move that light back a bit, this would be such a cracking shot. It's well done. I get what you're saying. I get where it is you're going with it. This is another potentially gorgeous picture, Michael. I really think it is, and I like the way you're looking to see what's going on in your surroundings, playing around with pools of light as they're moving about on the landscape. I really do think you're onto something here. My thing is, we've got a pool of light, and I'm not quite sure where we're looking, because the house is white, and it's, you know, a lovely little house, and I like the camper van in the front. I love those autumn colours going on and the colour of the sky. Maybe you didn't get it, but I think if the light, as opposed to being on the hillside, was more on the house, I think we've got light on the house and a band of cloud and light on the hillside, which just makes it slightly difficult to look at. And I'm being hard on you. I get it. But nonetheless, it's a nice shot. It is a nice shot. I think if we could have had the light on the house and not on the hillside, then it would totally separate it, and it would really tell us where to look. It is telling us where to look, but I think it would be stronger if we weren't fighting with what's going on the hillside behind. Oh, look. You were brave. You were brave. Mary Beth. You were brave. Well done. You're really telling us where to look, aren't you? These sorts of shots are so difficult, and I am so rubbish at panning. I really am. I don't care if I've been a professional photographer for years and doing all sorts of exciting things. I'm rubbish at panning. I just have to do it over and over and over and over again until I get fed up, throw my camera on the ground in a huff and walk off. Well done. I like the way you chose this as a way to tell us where to look, to show me what you're looking at. It's a hard one to get absolutely right, to get it absolutely sharp. It really is. I think if we had a little bit more frontal light, I'm being hard on you again because you put work into that, a little bit more frontal light, maybe a touch more space. I am a space junkie, aren't I? I know. But all I can say is congratulations and well done for giving this a go. I don't know how many times were you here. I'd love to know, Mary Beth, how many times did you have to do this? You're going to really annoy me now and go, oh, only the once, she wouldn't come back and do it again. But I'd love to know, how many times did you do it before it started to work? Such a difficult thing to do. Lady called Christina came from France out to, I think it was Cambodia on a workshop, and we were doing some panning, and she said, oh, I never tried that, and I was sort of showed her the theory, and she had a go. I don't know what there was a donkey cart coming past, piled up with motorbikes or something crazy. She just did the best panning shot ever, first time. I was just, well, what's the point? Yeah, okay, 15 minutes of her going back and forth. Mary Beth, congratulations on your perseverance and the perseverance of, I guess it's your daughter. Congratulations. Nice try. Heather, we're seeing a lot of regulars in here at the moment, aren't we? If you're watching this and you're someone who hasn't entered these things, please, please, please do it. Come on, get stuck in there. Give it a go, flex those muscles. I'm not that harsh. Heather, beautiful light. Beautiful, beautiful light. And yeah, I'm being harsh tonight. It really is. It's nice light. Main thing, we got a bramble or something behind, which is also picking it up. That's just kind of that white line down through the middle. And I just wonder if you could have just moved a little to the right. I know it's difficult. It's one of those things I'm always saying to people, don't just look at the subject, look at the whole picture, and then you notice little things like that. But of course, what we do is we look at the subject, we go, ooh, and now hang on, I need to get this in the right, and then we miss something else. Go all the way around the edges and have a little look. The other thing is, it isn't quite sharp, and again, I think you possibly got a little bit of camera shake going on in there, Heather. Slightly faster shutter speed, if you could have got it, would have helped. And I think had you gone to the right a tiny bit, you could have moved that white line to the right, and I think that would have helped, and we may have helped to lose those rather bright little highlights on those sticky in leaves on the right. But well done for spotting and for noticing and for really, getting out there, putting yourself out there and giving it a lash, giving it a go. Oh, Stephen West. This is such a great moment. such a great moment. And I've had you in and out of my shortlist shout outs and all the rest of it. But I just thought, I've really got to look at this. Such a great moment, such a great shot. How could I possibly ignore a beautiful picture like that? And interesting, when I look at it on my other monitor, I'm almost questioning what I'm about to say to you. But to me, it looks to me like it wants to be just a little bit brighter. Just a little bit brighter. And I took the liberty of making it just a little bit brighter because I think it just helps that little bird stand out. Let's just go back again. I just felt it needed just that hint more exposure. You could disagree with me, and I totally get it, and I totally respect your choice if you chose not to. But to me, I just felt that little touch more exposure just brought this little chap to life a bit more, because that is such a beautifully captured little moment, and the light and the depth of field and everything, the angle of the bird, the pose, it's like he's poised, just ready to leap off and go, catch bugs in the air. I just think it's a great shot. I'm sorry you're not further up the list, but it's such an amazing picture. And that brings us to these bad boys. Let's have a little look at our Show Me Shortlist shoutouts. So these are shots which were in and out of my winners folder. I go through everything, choose anything. First of all, I grab anything that catches my eye, because I think I can say something and help this person, or maybe, you know, it's something I think is a great picture. And then separate out the ones that I just gravitate to naturally, and then I have to separate them still further till there's only 6 left. So you guys were all in my absolute winners folder, and I had to separate you out. And it's Mel Port. I keep seeing Mel Port in things. And I want to give you a shout out, Mel, because I remember your pictures a couple of years ago. I think you're okay if I say this. You were taking some nice snaps. They were okay, but you just brought the whole thing up to another level. And I just think you're taking some really rather nice stuff now. Now, I love this old messy stuff, but also it's just, we know where to look. We're in this scruffy, old, abandoned, dilapidated sort of a place. And, looking at where you said where it was, you used a torch to put a little bit of light to tell us where to look into one place, and you got it just right. It's an easy thing to overdo, very easy thing to overdo, but you did. You got it just right. We know where we're looking, and I don't know, we're back in the 1960s here straight away. I think it's a great shot, Mel. Well done. As is this, Hayley Elizabeth Buckland. It's so hard for me because, obviously we have got our, our little group of stars within our group. And it's like I try to include as many people as possible, but of course I had to bring this one back in because it's just such a beautifully done picture. Great light, great subject. Look at those tones, they're so gentle. If it was more contrasted, I don't think it would work. If it was less contrast, it wouldn't work. It's just in the right place with the contrast. The colours simple. We've got oranges and one green, and that is about it. Very, very gentle picture. So well done. And some of you guys, please go, some of our, if you like, our stars in the group, go and really have a look at their stuff. Go Facebook stalk them on their own things where they maybe have other pictures that they haven't shared within the group, because we always learn from each other, all of us, myself included. I spend a lot of time looking at my colleagues and peers' stuff, and just thinking, wow, that's amazing. I need to think more like that. I want to share a little thing. Some of you guys may remember my friend Esther Suarez, photojournalist, lives in Washington, D.C. There is a YouTube interview with him when we were both at the International Photography Festival in the Arab Emirates last year. But also he was a judge on our very first PLD. He has recently got a kitten. And I'm not a big one on kitty pictures all the time, but I have to say I've been looking at his pictures of this kitten. He's obviously bored because of lockdown. Currently he is rather busy with everything that's going on for our friends over in America at the moment. As a photojournalist, he's kind of busy, but where he has been locked down, he's just been photographing this kitten that he's got, and some of the shots are amazing, and I just look at them and think, wow, you know, we all learn from each other. Go and check out some amazing pictures. And see if you can find Estra Suarez on Facebook. Go and look at the pictures he's taking of cats, of his kitten. Jamie Smith. This is a great little moment, so well captured, isn't it? I just like the way you've composed it. I like the way we are separating with light as well as with depth of field. It's a very subtle separation. It's just there's a little bit more light on this tree trunk and the squirrel than the ones behind it. And I just think that is just beautifully seen and beautifully caught. I like the way the squirrel's just sitting there, and I love that little branch poking out. If you cut the end of the branch off, that would just be so frustrating. Everything is in just the right place. We know what we're doing. You have shown us all what this is about. Absolutely splendid shot. Oh, look, here's another one that we like, Graham. Again, you know, this is also, of course, more testament. You can do great photography in your kitchen, in your home. Those of you guys who were with us in the early days when we first started in full lockdown, everything had to be in the kitchen and the front room. Look at the amazing things people came up with. Practice in your home. Graham, I really like this. Again, you have done something very simple and made it interesting, and you have shown us where to look. Absolutely nailed it by using light and just a very, very subtle hint of working with depth of field, just making that truck behind slightly softer, but the light is just coming in at the right angle. You're showing us where to look. Now here's one which I just love, this Sarah. Sarah Piper, it's just great. I really like it. I just think it is so great. And there's so many things happening in this, and we know exactly where to look. Yeah, your eye gets drawn to the brightest place, but by getting this bit of mist and seeing it, and all those lines bringing you back to that early morning sun coming through the trees. But also, it suggests to me you have really thought about where to be when you shot it by framing those green firs between those two sort of, I don't know what the tree trunk is, it looks like an oak tree trunk, the young oaks by the look of it. But you've got frames within a frame, framing up those beautiful green trees with those autumnal colours and the shafts of light, and the way you position things within the viewfinder. I think it's a really great shot. Really, really like this one, Sarah. In all honesty, this was one of the first I actually kind of went, oh, and pulled it out. I'm sorry it didn't go further. Oh, another one which I really, really liked here, Neil Harper. We're again being told precisely where to look. It kind of like it's I like things like this. There's something about abandoned bits of human stuff that's been lost and forgotten. You said it in the what's it, lost and forgotten. Well spotted and well executed. You know, you thought about how to make that work by using the lines in the floorboard, by having it just on the edge of that light, just on the edge, so the light is just picking it up, and it is bright behind, but it doesn't matter. It's framing up that shadowy broken toy, and using the bits of wood there. I just think it's a really great shot. It kind of, to me, makes a little story, makes me think, where are we? What's going on here? This is a place I'd quite like to go and have a poke about. It looks interesting. If you're here, Neil, I'd kind of like to know, where is it? Are you going to tell me it's around the back of your house or something? I want you to tell me you've climbed over some barbed wire somewhere and crept into some spooky place. But it is a great shot. Well done. I thought this was really interesting take on it as well, Stella Fag. it's just an interesting take on some very simple things, and you come up with some really nice, beautiful shapes going on here. Placing that flower into that, I'm not quite sure what it is, translucent thing. Like I say, I live in a shed full of old motorbikes. I have no idea what these nice things are. I'm not allowed nice things. But the way the light is coming through it, and you're creating all those shapes on the background, on the wall, I guess it's the light refracting, and you've got all those curves and shapes, and it's quite busy, but nonetheless, we know exactly where to look. I love that diagonal shadow coming down through the shot as well. It just adds to it hugely. I think it's a great job. Nice one. Well done, Stella. And I thought this was really nice too, Jeff. Again, you've got quite a bit going on in the shot, but we know where to look. We know what this is about. I mean, I love places like this, Blacksmith's Forge. And it's the use of light. Look at that beautiful light, just catching the hammer and the tongs and the top of the anvil. I always wanted an anvil. I must get one day. Don't know what I'll do with it, but I want one. Yeah, beautiful use of light, nice composition. And I know we got that highlight on the top right hand corner. Somehow it doesn't seem to distract from the tools on the anvil. If anything, to me, and this is a question for everybody, it kind of adds a little bit of intrigue. I kind of want to know what's happening over there in that bright corner. What do you think, guys? I just think it works really well. It works beautifully in black and white. Part of me goes, I wonder what it would look like in colour. I wonder what colours there are. Have we got bluey steel and browny handles and things? I don't know. But yeah, what do you think about that little highlight? Yeah, I wasn't taken off by the highlight either, which is rare. 2 fingers anyone. Let's do it. Okay, I think this is the thumb job myself. Does it take me away? It's one of those things, it works beautifully with it. And if you remove it, so it works beautifully with or without. To me, it's an either or. To me, the hammer and the anvil sort of start the whole thing off, and then I go, whoa, what's over there in that bright corner? I think it works either way. I think we could split the judges on this one. Yeah, interesting, Phillida, implied diagonal with the tools. Yeah. Interesting. I love looking at your thoughts on these things, everybody. I love it. I love it. Just as I really like this. This is very similar to a shot I took a while ago in Cambodia. Hung Fat Dong. It's just so simple, isn't it? Simple is great. We've got a lovely little bit of light. Just picking out that greenery, those little plants just sort of poking out from the stone, just sort of saying, it's almost like they're going, oh, you know, let me out, let me out. They're sort of trying to do a Samson thing, you know, and push the rocks apart. But it's really nice use of light and shade. I really do, I like it. It's such a simple picture. It's just lovely. Nice one, well done, Hung. This one I just find intriguing, Lorraine. Really intriguing. Because obviously you're telling us where to look, and I'm just really intrigued with it. You know, I love the dark textures of the bark and the wood behind. And I'm not quite sure what it is that little leaf is caught on. I think it's the edge of a chair or something. If you're here, I'm sure you are, Lorraine, just tell us. I don't know what it is that it's caught on. And I'm looking at both my screens because this screen is a bit more contrasty than that one, so I can see a bit better on that one. I just think I just really like it. It just makes you stop and look. Beautiful bit of colour. Beautiful little bit of light, just sort of picking it out. I guess you've done a little bit of post-production around it as well, but I still think it works. It's a bicycle basket. Brilliant. Brilliant. It's an old bicycle. It's a bicycle basket with a leaf caught in it. And I get it, and the bicycle's leaning against the thing. Well done, Lorraine. I think it's a good shot. I really like it. You made it rock. Now this one, Neil, I found really intriguing. And I kept coming back to it, and back to it, and back to it. One, because I like the shape, and I like the colours, and all those little, I don't know what that background is. I'm guessing it's a painting or something. My first thought was, I don't know which one of those three things to look at. I'm bouncing backwards and forwards, but rightly or wrongly, I could misinterpret this totally. It then occurred to me, we've got a nice shape, but the more I looked at it, I suddenly realised you're kind of like showing us your living room. And I didn't realise it until I'd bounced backwards and forwards between these three things several times. I just really, really like it. I think it's an intriguing picture. Would you kind of look at it and go, house, as George Stevenson just did? Would you look at it and just sort of go, wow, what a beautiful picture? I don't know, it's a striking picture. Whatever sort of picture it is, it stops us in our tracks. And I found that with the bouncing around, it then showed me what it was all about. I really like it. I really like it. As this one, we know exactly where we're looking here, don't we? We love it. Nice one, Karen Toy Downs. We got such simple colours, just different shades of gold, really. Even the chain is just kind of a dark, chewy gold. It's just so simple, but so well executed. Technically, obviously, great. All of our shout-outs and so many of our images tonight have been technically perfect. I just think it's well spotted. It's simple. And we know what we're doing. You showed us where to look in a very simple yet effective way. I do think you have all done a great job. Congratulations to all of our shortlist shout-outs. Many of you have been on webinars, but you have, of course, all got yourself places on a webinar. Please get in touch with Emmeline, and she will get you a place sorted out. We've got a bit of a schedule moving forward of webinars now, by the way. I think we're scheduled up into February because we're starting to rerun them, because people are really beginning to realise what value they have. They're not just a lecture, it is an online class, and it is very interactive with lots of questions. So let's go have a look at our runners-up for this week. You all always cause me pain, every single one of you, because I just like looking at your pictures and I don't have enough hours in the day to do it. But I just thought this was a really nice one, Julia. I love the feeling. I can feel that cold mist. I can smell that forest. And yeah, of course, we know exactly where to look. No question. That soft, soft morning. I think they call it a fine, soft morning in Scotland, which I think is a wonderful phrase. Beautifully composed, well put together, the way the framing is done. What more can I say? The exposure's spot on. I kind of want to be walking through that wood in the morning. I think it's great. I think it's lovely. Congratulations, Julia. Great shot. Dan Murray, I like this so much. I like it so much. It is so strong. I love the angle you shot from. The way the cathedral, and yeah, I know this is a place that I know because it's not far from where I live, but the way the cathedral is just kind of peeping around the trees. I do love a peep. A peeping cathedral is a thing of beauty. And the way you've got it at the right time. We've got that little bit of blue hour, just blue 10 minutes left in the sky. I just think it's a well put together shot. I like the way you position the cathedral in the frame, the way you've excluded things, the way you've got that little bit of silhouette-y foreground. Technically great. You've obviously got the exposure spot on. It was quite dark. Pretty sure you had to use a tripod for that one, because I'm guessing it was a slowish exposure. Nice shot, Dan. Really nice shot. Next time I go to Salisbury Cathedral, of course, I'm going to be walking around thinking, where on earth was he to take that? What angle was he at to do that? So our next runner up is Eastern Smile. I just really like it. To me, it's a story. What do you think, guys? What do you feel when you look at this? I'm intrigued to know, as I'm sure we all are. What do you feel? What does it bring to you when you look at this shot? Rather than just, okay, it's a beautiful shot. How do you feel? What does it make you think? What does it make you wonder about? Does it make you wonder about anything? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I'm just intrigued. Please, and if you haven't commented, just pop a couple of comments in, because I would love to know what you think it makes you feel. Really interesting comments coming in, guys. Thank you for, joining in. It's thought-provoking. Yeah, that's what I think, Bear Clive. It's thought-provoking. Pensive, Peter. Yeah, welcome, Peter. Another one from Australia, getting up at silly o'clock in the morning. From Australia and New Zealand. Interesting comments. Why is she behind a fence? Yeah, I totally get it. To me, it's a question, and that's why I kind of like it. I like the downcast eyes, the simplicity of it, the diagonal of that little bit of metal down in the bottom right corner against that softness of this girl's face. To me, it's a question. It's just a question. It makes me want to ask questions. I wonder what's going on. Great job. I think it's a really beautifully done shot, Eastern Smile. Congratulations. Well done. Now this one is just pure old BBC Wildlife magazine, isn't it? We see quite a lot from you, Paul. You are very good at what you do. It is just a fantastic moment, and I can't imagine how much time and work and effort you must put into shooting things like this. It's a pretty amazing moment. It is a pretty amazing moment. It is just great. I just love that little bit of foreground in the bottom right corner. You got such a soft background. To get a shot like this in focus in the first place takes an awful lot of doing. You are really on the ball. What can I say? Yeah, it's a magazine cover. It is the sort of thing, that many photographers, including myself, would aspire to. Little things like, look at that movement in the feathers on the wingtip. It's just, everything is just perfect, just at the right moment. It is a wonderful shot indeed, Beverly Devine. Congratulations, Paul. Congratulations. We've got another birdie shot here. We've got a bit of hot birdie action going on this evening from Jonathan Kimberley. I think this is a cracking picture. I absolutely love the framing. I like so many things about this. And obviously, you've done a great job of showing us where to look. We know what we're looking at. It is the archangel pigeon down there in the bottom left, just catching the light on the wings. I do really love this. It's a busy picture, and yet we know precisely what it's about. And I don't know, how did you shoot it? There's so many questions, aren't there? Was it shot on burst mode? Or is it just a one moment? Because, trying to get just the right moment where the birds are creating the framing to match the tree, and then that one with those fabulous wings catching the light. I love it. I just think it's a fabulous shot, Jonathan. I wish it was one of mine. I wish all of these runners up were one of mine, and I wish many of the preceding images just in the feedback were one of mine. You are an awesome bunch of photographers, all of you. Even if you're just starting out on the journey, even if I've said you need to pay more attention to your exposure or your shutter speed so you don't get a blurry picture, what is awesome is that you are doing it. You're out there, you're doing it. You're not sitting on your backside and just wondering why things aren't working. It is a privilege to be here. Ow! So, I don't know why I said ow. I should have said, now let's go look and see who our Show Me winner is. And it's the one that I kept coming back to. That's all anyone can do when judging something. The one I kept coming back to was that one from Browne. It's just, how can we miss what you are showing us, what you are talking to us about? You know, you have done all the good stuff. You know, you have got the subject right over the brightest part of the picture. We know what is going on. Absolutely splendid. Congratulations as well, by the way, to both of you. But it's just, I just love it. It's an evening shot. It's looking to the future. We know where we're looking. You have shown me that you're about to become a parent, maybe for the first or second time. Oh, sorry, third time. You're a glutton for punishment. But congratulations nonetheless. I think you have done a great job. Hey, Browne, you're here. Great. Congratulations. It's good to see you. Yeah, oh yes, Sue's just reminded me, because I did see in the comments you were bringing in the, you know, the tree, the family tree sort of pun there. I kind of missed that as a pun. I'm good at missing things like that. I don't know even if it needs the tree. I think it would be possibly even stronger without it, but I don't care either way. It is so strong on its own. Actually, this is a very, we're talking about Esdras Suarez, this is a very Esdras Suarez sort of a shot. He goes in a lot for the very contrasty, colourful sort of a stuff. Great job, everybody. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, for joining in, for entering into the spirit of things. Now, I guess that kind of brings us towards the evening. Just for once, I seem to be about on time. I have to go and give a man in an Indian takeaway some money, because he very kindly, last night I rushed out of something we're working on. We're filming somewhere and we're really, really busy on a new project. And I thought, I'm going to go to the Indian takeaway and just grab some food. I can't be bothered. I'm not cooking now. It was getting late. I got there and realised I hadn't got my wallet. And I said, I think I must have left it where I've been working. I'll be back in about 15 minutes. He goes, no, not a problem. Here you go. Isn't it great when things like that happen? Isn't it great? I have to go and give that man his money this evening. Thank you all for being here. Obviously, the next challenge will be going up in a moment. Again, this challenge, I think, was suggested before certainly the UK and many other places started having to lock down and be stricter again. So, you know, go with it. Do what you can. Please remember, shoot images for the challenge. Don't go to an archive to bring things out. Go and do the exercise, because the whole point of these challenges is to get you thinking, to make your head hurt. If you're someone who's watching and you haven't really entered, or you've thought, oh, I don't know, I can't really be bothered or whatever, please be bothered. It doesn't matter if your pitch is brilliant or not. The thing that matters is giving it a go, because we can spend endless hours, weeks, months, years watching tutorials and what other people do, but until we come out of the stands watching the game and get on the court and start playing ourselves, we're never going to achieve mastery. We're never going to get better until we start playing on the field. Anyway, once again, thank you all so much for being here. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I will have the next challenge up very shortly. Emma will almost certainly put up the album tomorrow. I'm out pretty early in the morning working on something. Any problems, let Emma know. She is the boss. Take care. Have a great evening. Have a great day. Have a great afternoon, wherever you may be. Best wishes to you all.